Okay, so am I the only one that's still trying to figure out what the heck just happened with UFC 269? Like, what exactly did I just witness right now? Oh my god. Wow. So, UFC 269 starts off with Sean O'Malley versus Julian Paiva. I believe I said this man's first name correctly. Now, of course, going into the fight, everyone expects Sean O'Malley to do well. There's some people that definitely picked Paiva to win because he's no joke. He's not a walk in the park. Even though he was moving up from the flyweight division, he is still a very good fighter. He is not a can like a lot of people try to make it out to seem. But what Sean was able to do, the performance he was able to put on, was just absolutely incredible. And the fight wasn't exactly going super smoothly starting off. Like, Paiva was doing a good job. He was doing a very good job of dealing with the front kicks. He was pushing forward. He was pressuring very well. He was landing a few shots of his own. And the key shots that Sean had in that fight, of course, was the jab, the circling jab, really solid jab. Occasionally, he will fire off the jab, followed by the cross. And then at some point, the man fires off a beautiful overhand, lands the beautiful overhand, stuns Paiva. Paiva stumbles to the cage, and Sean absolutely tees off on him. I'm talking just blast him. Combo after combo after combo, shreds him. And of course, the referee has seen enough. Fight is over. After the fight, in the interview, Sean was asked, how did he see the fight going? Is this what he thought was going to happen? He mentions Canelo Alvarez. He said that he's been watching a lot of Canelo Alvarez, and he really wanted to reenact some of what he's seen Canelo Alvarez do in terms of having an opponent against the ropes or in MMA against the cage and shredding them. And that is exactly what he did. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful performance. Just classic Sean O'Malley. And now the question is, what are we going to see next from this guy? When are we going to see him in there against somebody good? That's the question everybody is asking. To that I say, he just fought someone good. Now, do I think Paiva is on his level? No, I don't. But he still just fought somebody good. And it'll be very interesting now to see what's next. Like, who's he going to be? Who will he be fighting next? Who's going to be the next guy that will be put in there against Sean? Really looking forward to that. And then the shocking nature of the main card starts with Cody Garbrandt and Kai Kara-France. Because, again, I was a little bit surprised at the beautiful nature of the finish by Sean O'Malley. Like, Sean is typically like cleaner with it. He likes to be pinpoint accurate. But watching him just blow through the opponent, like mow him down with a barrage of strikes, I'm not used to seeing that from Sean. Typically, he rocks you. He stands in front of you kind of like Izzy. He looks for that one-shot kill. He knocks you down. He moves on. But this time, he just shredded him like we see from T.J. Dillashaw, or fighters like that. So it was it was shocking in that sense. But the true shock started with Cody Garbrandt versus Kai Kara-France. Fight starts off, and Cody's doing a good job of circling. He's moving very well. Just looking for his opportunity to land. Just trying to play the kind of game that he played against Dominic Cruz, the kind of game that he's been playing lately, which is a smarter type of game as opposed to staying in the fire and and fighting that kind of fight. But before that, I would say the thing that really, really surprised me with Cody is, first of all, how he looked. He looked incredible. This is a man that cut weight to get down to the flyweight division. So, like, I definitely didn't expect to see him look as full as he did. Like, he looked really, really good. But in round number one, at some point, Kai Kara-France is able to hit Cody Garbrandt with a beautiful shot, wobbles him, rocks him, puts him against the cage, fires off a beautiful overhand shot, left hand, right uppercut. Cody drops, stands back up. His opponent moves in. Kai Kara-France moves in again, lands a few more shots, and Herb Dean has seen enough. Stops the fight. watching him get blown through like that just kind of reminded me of what happened with TJ Dillashaw moving down to the flyweight division from the bantamweight division and getting stopped really quickly in the first round, which, you know, makes me question, is it possible that it's the fact that he cut all that weight? Is that what caused his chin to maybe be a little bit weaker? Then again, I remember we're dealing with Cody Garbrandt right here. We're dealing with Cody. And this is not like one of those clipping shots. I mean, he was hit clean. It was a beautiful overhand followed by a barrage of shots. And I think even Cody in the bantamweight division would fall if he got hit by those same shots by the same exact flyweight. So incredible performance by Kai Kara-France. Really, really solid win against a big name, a well-recognized name in Cody Garbrandt, introducing him to the flyweight division, which of course leads to the question, what's going to happen now? Is Cody going to go back up to the bantamweight division? Is he going to stay in the flyweight division and try again? Like, what are we going to see now from him? A lot of people are saying maybe it's time to hang it up. Maybe his chin is just completely gone if he's getting stopped by flyweight fighters. Maybe it's time to hang it up. We'll see. It's going to be up to the man to decide what he wants to do next. Now, I'm going to skip over Jeff Neal versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Nothing too crazy happened in that fight, but let's talk about Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Now, I'll be honest, I did not think Juliana Pena was going to win the fight. I didn't think she was going to win. If you thought that she was going to win, kudos to you. Truly, kudos to you. Because a vast majority of people did not see that happening, especially in the way that it did. Now, one thing that I would say is I'm the kind, and you guys have heard me say this multiple times on this channel. This will not be the first time you've heard me say this. I am a huge believer in standing your ground. I'm not talking brawling. I'm not talking about standing in the middle of the octagon and not moving your feet. I'm talking just biting down on the mouthpiece, going out there and doing exactly what you're in there to do, which is fighting. Especially if you're in there with someone who's so used to being the bully, someone who's so used to backing up the opponent, and that's what they're used to. We've seen this play out so many times that a lot of times when you stand up to a fighter like that, we saw that with Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas. That's the most popular example of a situation like that, where you stand up to the big, strong, powerful fighter. You stand up to him. You take his best shots. You return fire. A lot of times it plays out like a male lion trying to go after a bull, right? And the bull, let's say the bull is running until the bull decides, I'm not running anymore. It turns around and charges the lion. Even if that lion truly believes that he can take down that bull, the fact that the bull is doing something so uncharacteristic, bulls charge lions. That's not what I mean. I'm saying something so perhaps unexpected. Like, I'm supposed to be the hunter here. What are you doing standing up to me? It's so weird for fighters like these. Like, we've seen this happen so many times, where the fighter that's typically the guy that loves to move forward and be aggressive, all of a sudden his opponent decides, I'm not taking this shit. I'm going to come at you back. And then all of a sudden he gets flustered. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. We saw something very similar happen between Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg for a very long time was known as the most powerful female puncher in the whole entire MMA world. That's what she was known as. Now, we all knew Amanda Nunes was powerful, but before that fight happened, be honest, just be real with yourself. We all thought that Chris Cyborg was more powerful. That's what we thought. And Chris probably believed that herself. So when all of a sudden she's trying to pressure Amanda, she's trying to hit Amanda, and Amanda is fighting back, it activated her ego, made her start fighting crazy. It turned into a brawl, and of course, we saw what happened. Amanda was able to knock out Chris Cyborg. And something very similar happened in this fight between Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. Something very similar happened right here, because when the fight started, the first thing I noticed was that Juliana did not come in there afraid whatsoever. That is the biggest difference between her and everyone else that Amanda has fought. You know, Amanda said that Juliana and Miesha Tate was essentially the same fighter. And I understand where she was coming from that in terms of the grappling and, you know, the way how they plot forward. But the one thing that you can't say about Juliana is that she's afraid. She's never been the type to be afraid. And she has been wanting to fight Amanda Nunes for a long time. And so when the fight started, this girl stood her ground, man. She was throwing back. Amanda would jab her, she would jab back. Amanda would throw a cross and she would throw a cross right back. And they would literally, and you will see Amanda Nunes believing in that power, believing that all she needed to do was just hit this girl a few times and that's going to be it. And it wasn't happening. I don't even think Juliana was dropped even once. I know she was buzzed a few times, but the fighter that was consistently getting buzzed in the fight over and over and over and over again was Amanda Nunes. Juliana would hit her with a jab and it would like buzz her, hit her with a cross and it'll buzz her, hook and it buzz her. And it kept going on like this. Of course, at one point the fight ended up on the ground. Amanda Nunes was on top for a little bit. You could see the size difference, but she started to slow down. She was gassing a little bit. The work rate was a little bit too much. It's not what she's used to. I mean, she's used to going in there, getting the girl out of there and moving on. But this time it was different, man. This time it was different. Juliana was fighting her back. And as the fight kept going and going and going in round, what round did this fight just end? I'm like forgetting. I believe it was round number 2. In round number 2, Juliana Pena was able to rock her. Took her down against the cage. Beautiful takedown. Got a rear naked choke. Her hooks were not even in, but the choke was locked in really, really well. And Amanda Nunes tapped. To see that happen is still mind-blowing to me. It truly, I can't believe I just witnessed that. Now, of course, a lot of people will say that was more, I mean, the outcome of that fight was more because Amanda Nunes was not fighting to the best of her ability, as opposed to what Juliana Pena was doing. And to that I say, don't be too sure, man. Don't be too sure. We just saw something new right here. What we just saw is that if you stand your ground against Amanda, I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen this with Germaine de Randamie in the second fight. She was outstriking Amanda Nunes. Amanda had to grapple to win that fight. So I'm not sure why I'm acting surprised like we've not seen that before. We've seen that in the past. That if you stand your ground against Amanda Nunes and you fight her back and you tag her a few times, the Lioness will retreat. She will retreat, and her gas tank is not the best. It's not one of her strong suits. So major props to Juliana. She did something that a lot of people, including myself, did not think she was going to do. She shut everybody up and she won a championship. It doesn't matter if she loses it in the next fight. One thing Juliana is always going to be is a champion. That title of champion, she's always going to have that under her belt. She won a UFC belt, and that is incredible. That is something that many fighters will never be able to do, win a belt in the UFC, and she did it. So major props to her. And now the main event of the evening, Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. This is the fight that we were all waiting for. Now this one, you know, according to Dustin Poirier, the way he looked at this fight, this is to him probably his last chance to try to get the belt. I don't think it is. I think there's a very good chance that Dustin Poirier is getting ready to just be done with fighting. He has said multiple times that he doesn't really enjoy doing this anymore. He's made a shitload of money. He has actually won the belt. Of course, he didn't win the unified belt. He won the interim belt, but that's still a champion. The interim belts, the interim champion is the champion when the champion is not able to fight. So you are a champion. So he can say he's won a belt, not the main belt, but that's the one thing that has been elusive for him right now. And going into this fight, he was a favorite. Going into this fight, a lot of people were saying that, the narrative was that Dustin Poirier has more ways to win, and that with Charles Oliveira, his only way to win is by submission. I mean, going into this fight, I didn't think so. Personally, I talked about this in the fighter showcase that I did. The one thing people are not giving Charles enough credit for is his technique. That's not to say he's a more efficient boxer. That's not to say he's a more efficient striker. But the one thing that Charles, in my opinion, has over Dustin is his technique. The technique of his punches, how everything flows, the positioning of his hands, how tight everything is. He throws his shots with really good technique, and this is what we were talking about. And we saw that in the fight. Fight starts off, and he marches forward right into the pocket. No fear whatsoever. I mean, he's in there with a powerful man in Dustin Poirier, a dude that has stopped Justin Gaethje, a dude that has been able to stop Eddie Alvarez, stopped Conor McGregor. I mean, we're talking about a powerful man here. Charles didn't give a crap, walked into the pocket, walked him down, hitting him with some beautiful knees in the clinch. I mean, I'm talking just beautiful. Right from the chamber. No crazy wind up. Not too telegraphed. Beautiful hand placement. Boom, with the knees over and over again. Now, of course, Dustin Poirier, as powerful as he is, was able to sit him down. I believe he must have dropped him twice in the first round. I think he might have dropped him again in round number 2. I'll need to go back and watch the fight. But as the fight was playing on and going on, what we saw was that Dustin Poirier looked like he was getting tired, it wasn't what I expected to see. I'm like, is Dustin getting tired? Now, it could be the knees. Like, I really wanted Joe to ask him if he felt something was hurt by those knees. It seemed like the moment those knees started to land, Dustin was looking up at the clock. He looked damaged by the knee, like something was wrong. And then in round number two, just out of nowhere, Charles Oliveira is able to shoot a beautiful takedown, takes his back, systematically climbs his back. And the way he did it too, he didn't put both hooks in, because typically a lot of times when you have both hooks in, you don't actually have solid control of the fighter's hips unless you have like double underhooks on the back. Then you can kind of hang on. But if you have more of like a seat belt where it's one overhook over the neck and then an underhook, with that, the fighter the fighter with their back taken can kind of buck forward and throw you over their head. But what Charles Oliveira did was really smart. It's really good jiu-jitsu, because he didn't get both hooks in. He had one hook in, but then he locked his legs to secure Dustin Poirier's hips. He had his hips really secure in place, so Dustin couldn't move properly. And then from there, he locked in this beautiful rear naked choke, secured it, and Dustin Poirier still standing. I mean, you could see him starting to go out. He was thinking about fighting this choke, thinking about fighting it, but you could see his lights about to go out, and so he taps out, and that's it. Charles Oliveira defends his belt for the very first time against a dangerous man in Dustin Poirier, showing everybody that this man is the truth. He is the truth. And a lot of questions that people had in terms of his heart, which is a valid question to ask. It really is, because we've seen him stop before. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen in the past, we've seen him get badly hit, and the way he reacts. It's a valid question to ask. How much heart does this man have? But tonight he showed he definitely does. And in the post-fight interview, he was saying that it doesn't matter who he's in there in front of. He's gonna fight the same exact way. He's gonna walk forward. He'll try to take their head off, no matter how many times they hit him. He'll keep walking forward. Now, is that a smart thing to do against someone like Conor McGregor? Is that a smart thing to do against Justin Gaethje? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but we are going to find out. We are going to find out. It looks like we are on the verge of seeing another incredible lightweight fighter. Of course, he's not going to be as perfect as Khabib because, you know, he's taking way more risks on the feet than Khabib did. Khabib did not want to get hit. He just, you know, he would come out, look for the opportunity to drag you to the cage, take you down, maul you on the ground. But Charles is like, I'm going to fight you everywhere. He takes a shitload of risks. I mean, standing in the pocket against Dustin Poirier is as risky as it gets, and he was gladly doing it. And he said he's going to keep doing that. So overall, man, what a solid fight card. We've been talking for like, what, 20 minutes now? Yeah, 20 minutes. So much to say, but we are going to end the video right here. What a card. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the UFC for putting on such an amazing fight card. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about it. And I will definitely see you guys tomorrow with another video. As always, stay safe. Peace out.